Okay, so lots of questions about this. All three of these questions have really large numbers, and they're pretty big, right? The reason why I've given you really large numbers here is because I'm trying to exploit the weakness in one of the strategies to solve these problems. Okay, one of the strategies we used yesterday was we graphed them, or we had them on a graph, and then we found out the middle point, right? Kind of counted, right? I know you know how to count, okay? Because you can't count these, because they're so large, the numbers are so large, you have to go to the formulas and the interpretation of midpoint, the algebraic interpretation of midpoint. This is the summary of all of it. It's the average of the coordinates, all right? And the average between two numbers is add them and divide by 2. Midpoint in general is the average. To find the midpoint is the average of the coordinates. On number 1, we have a coordinate 10,953. We have a coordinate 5. If we average those two numbers, we add them up and divide by 2. All right? Does that make sense? Anybody? What did you guys get for that number? Anyone? Just hit 5,479. Yep, that is the location of the midpoint. That's the coordinate. In terms of the other one, what would be the midpoint? It's the average of the coordinates. There's 2 separate coordinates on this problem. There's an x coordinate in each setup, and there's a y coordinate in each setup. It's the average of the x's and the average of the y's. We're averaging 5 and negative 320. Those are the x values, and then averaging negative 100 and 923. That gives us 157.5 and 411.5. Is that right? Yeah. Negative. Yeah. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah. Thank you. And then the last one, again, in this case, we're giving you the midpoint and an endpoint, and we're trying to find the other endpoint, which makes it so much more difficult, especially when the numbers are this outrageous. Okay? You have to, in order to do this problem with the numbers that are this big, you have to internalize what a midpoint actually is and how to go about finding that. What is a midpoint? It is the average of the coordinates of the endpoints. All right? If you average the coordinates of the endpoints, we have one of the endpoints being this, so we're going to take negative 2 and we're going to average that with something. And then we take negative 103 and we're going to average that with something. And that something, those somethings are then the coordinates of the other endpoint. All right? In terms of ours, we're just dropping an x and a y so we can solve for it. Well, if you understand the way that midpoints are, this then represents the x-coordinate of the midpoint, which is the same as that, which is 4. So those two things actually equal each other. And we can solve that. Multiply both sides by 2. So the x-coordinate of the other endpoint is going to be 10. Now let's find the y-coordinate of the other endpoint. We set it up where we set those two things equal, then we multiply by 2 and solve. So our actual endpoint is 10, 1, 2, 3. 10, 1, 23. Yep. I did that because I wanted you to make sure you knew the formulas and how we go about finding the midpoint, that it is realistically the average of the coordinates. Okay. It's the middle spot, the average. All right?
70